Well, good morning. It is the 18th of January 2021, and welcome to another daily devotional. As this morning, I was in Matthew chapter 18, and this is what it says in verse 1. It says, "At that time, the disciples came to Jesus, saying, 'Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?' And calling to him a child, he put him in the midst of them and said, 'Truly, I say to you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like a child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven.'" Humility is so important in God's kingdom. And Jesus, in this passage, he turns the disciples' understanding of the kingdom upside down and on its head. Because God's kingdom, it's an upside down kingdom. The things that we strive after in this world, the way that we do things in this world, is not the way God wants us to do things in the kingdom. You see, in God's kingdom, humility lifts you up. Peter tells us to humble ourselves under God's mighty hand, and he will lift us up in due time. See, our job is to humble ourselves because God gives grace to the humble, but he opposes the proud. And we never want to be in a situation where we're being opposed by God. My goodness me, if there's one person in the entire universe you don't want to be actively opposing you, it's God. But yet the Bible tells us that if we are operating in pride and self-righteousness, God will not just ignore us, he will actively oppose us. But he gives grace to the humble. The disciples were wanting to know who was going to be the greatest, who's going to get the most honor, who's going to get the most esteem, who's going to be the most famous, who's going to be the biggest name, who's going to have the biggest platform. But Jesus says, guys, no, that's not the way the kingdom works. The kingdom works with humility. First of all, if you even want to enter into the kingdom, you need to humble yourself. You need to be like a little child. Because you need to recognize that you need God's grace within your life, that you cannot do it by yourself, and that your own good works are just not sufficient to save you. So you need the saving grace of God within your life. You need to be humble enough to surrender all the junk that you have and not hold on to it and go, no, this is mine, this defines me. It doesn't define you. And lay it down at the foot of the cross and let Jesus deal with it. See, pride goes hand in hand with self-righteousness. Pride says, I am right and I am right all the time. Pride says, I am amazing and everything I do is amazing. See, humility isn't about putting yourself down. So often people do that out of their own insecurities, not out of humility. Humility is recognizing who you are and not having to brag about it, but actually to lift other people up and to build other people up and to see other people do well. So the thing is, God opposes the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. And grace is unmerited favor, but it's also God's divine empowerment in our life. And we need as much grace as we can get. So I want to encourage you today, guys, with the pride, humble yourself under God's mighty hand, and he'll lift you up in due time. Have a great day.